Let's now resume our first panel discussion in which we will explore the challenges and opportunities of making all modes of transportation accessible to everyone. We will discuss the latest trends, technologies, and policies that are driving progress in this area. We have a distinguished panel of experts who will be sharing their insights on this important topic. I encourage you to listen carefully and engage with the ideas presented by our panelists, because we will be having a Q&A session right after the panel discussion. So let me introduce our panelists. Director of Parking Department, head of the team of the Friendly Organization for People of Determination, RTA member of the Board of Directors of the Emirates Down Syndrome Association, Mr. Osama Al-Safi. Head of the Government Agenda, Dubai Airports, Ms. Iman Al-Sweidi. And Director of Disability Inclusion and ADA Compliance, Royal Caribbean Group from the United States, Mr. Ronald Petit. And of course, back to our stage, our moderator for today's panel discussion, which is Mr. Eric Lipp, Executive Director of the Open Doors Organization from the United States.
All right, well, welcome everybody to our first session. I'm looking at my phone because this is where I have my notes in the modern world, right? I didn't print it, I just kept it on my phone. So we have a great panel today. We'll start with each one of you giving a short presentation, and then we'll go to some questions and answers. I didn't formally give you guys a who's going first, but if we just start to my right with Osama, we could start right away.
Thank you very much.
RTA.
I'm presenting Road and Transportation Authority in Dubai, and as you all know that the accessibility is one of the great important item for all people, and especially for the people of determination. And if you will start with what Sheikh Hamdan Mohammed said in 2013, our community is a place for all, and the word "or" should be for all people, all different types of people, whether of the difficulties in movement or in language or in any type of difficulties or challenges. We should make the best effort by cooperation with all to make it easy, accessible, and common for all. According to that, RTA, Road and Transportation Authority in Dubai, had a vision from the first day of the establishment of this authority is to provide the infrastructure of road and transportation for all. And then the vision has been updated, developed to be the world pioneer in seamless and sustainable mobility, also for all. According to that, all the projects and all the transportation services should be according to the international standard. And we are proud today in Dubai that we have Dubai Code as a resource or a reference for all our projects and all our services and all our channels. I think that this is a general brief about the mission of RTA, and then we will go furthermore about some examples. Thank you.
That's great. I think it's such an important part of the entire trip planning is the RTA is going to play a major role in the future of transportation. So thank you.
Thank you, Osama. I think we're all part of this beautiful symphony created by our leaders in the United Arab Emirates and in Dubai specifically, which is focusing into creating seamless and accessible city and across all, let's say, the sectors that we are committed to provide seamless accessibility, mobility for Dubai and the UAE by the year of 2025. So speaking about Dubai airports, I would say that transportation is the core business that we do, and facilitating passengers is the heart, the main artery that we live upon. And the mobility itself is something that we think, we feed, we eat every day, the subject of how we can provide the best solutions for people of determinations to make sure that they have very unforgettable experience, rather seamless, and they're feeling comfortable and confident that approaching Dubai Airport would really be a very easy pathway to the world. So from the curbside, from the parkings, let me say that we're connected through different types of modes of transportations, like the metro, the buses, public buses, taxis, private cars, and all of this is facilitated by Dubai Airport's very strong infrastructure that is making sure accessibility is at the right shape and the good shape, following, as I said, Dubai Universal Code and working very closely with Dubai Municipality in Wasool project as well, just to make sure that our infrastructure is fitting. So we deliberately strive to drive the exceptional service to the people of determination. So today we will illustrate with you some of the things that we wish to know, what are the best practices that we do, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you have later. Thank you.
Thank you. That's, it's so important, and the airport here is not only a gateway to the UAE, but a gateway to the world, really, right? So many people come through this area just to transfer to go to Europe and to Australia, so very good to have that. And as I mentioned earlier, Royal Caribbean doing great things on accessibility, and Ron Pettit is here to give us some insight.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Eric, and I'm so glad to be here today. I wanted to take a few minutes to talk about a couple of things. So one is that I'm a person with a disability, so I'm hard of hearing. I think that's really important. And then the other thing that I wanted to mention today is that, at Royal Caribbean Group, we're not just transportation. We're here to help our guests have a vacation and a lifetime of vacations. So foremost, we are a hospitality company, so we think of our customers, our passengers, as guests, as we welcome them to our homes, and really on our ships to make sure that they have the vacation of their dreams. So a few things that I wanted to talk about today was really about some of the things that we make Royal Caribbean accessible and inclusive company. We focus very much on the guest experience, and there are a couple pillars that come out of there. And they're not out of thin air. A couple of years ago, there were a couple of reports. One was from Leonard Cheshire from the UK and the Expedia Group in the USA, and they talk about breaking down barriers in travel. And then there was another report by the World Travel and Tourism Council, and it talked about inclusive, accessible travel guidelines. So some of the pillars that we abide by are: one, making the guest experience accessible. Second, we make information clear and readable to our guests, and we provide exclusive customer service. And then as well as we talk about including people with disabilities in our process. So in order to provide an inclusive guest experience, there's a couple of different experiences that we provide. We have accessible staterooms on all of our ships. And one of the great feedback that we get from our guests and our travel partners is that the staterooms on the ship are more accessible than the hotels they stayed in the night before they got onto the ship. So we come with a really strong track record of accessible staterooms, which we feel is our core product for guests with disabilities. Among the new things that we're doing is on our newest ship, Icon of the Seas, which is debuting later this month. It is now the world's largest cruise ship, being homeported in Miami yesterday. It will introduce infinite balcony staterooms. So if you've ever been on a cruise ship, you'll know that the balcony staterooms have a ramp up to the balcony threshold and then a ramp down, which makes it a little more awkward for some of our guests using wheelchairs and scooters. So infinite balcony staterooms are flat, meaning that it's a flat surface from the sleeping living area, and through the balcony door onto the balcony, and really creates a more seamless and more inclusive experience for our guests. Also, an icon of the seas, we'll introduce the first top suite with Genie service. A Genie service has been a new service that's been added to our suite program, and it literally will make your wishes come true, within reason, of course. So we do a lot of things around making the guest experience accessible, including making our ships autism friendly. Over 10 years ago, Royal Caribbean International became the first global cruise line to become autism friendly, providing a warm and welcoming environment for our families with autism and other developmental and cognitive disabilities on our ships. Some of the other pillars of accessible cruising that I talked about, one, we make information clear to our guests. We've heard over and over again, our guests want more information about what makes cruising accessible. We provide a lot of information about our product and services on our websites, including microsites that talk about accessible cruising, as well as PDF brochures that our accessible travel agents can use to promote and sell accessible cruises on Royal Caribbean and Celebrity Cruises. We also have an inclusive customer service program. I head up a team of next month will be 50 people dedicated to disability market. It provides guests and travel agent partners with information about making accommodations on board their ships and their vacation experiences. We are the only cruise line that has this kind of a department and this large of a department, so I'm very proud of that. We do have a subset of the department called Accessible Shore Excursions that helps guests arrange accessible tours. And that is another thing that I think that you guys might find advantageous in terms of conversation today. How do we make destinations more accessible? So we made our ships accessible, but our guests want to explore the destinations that we sail to. We sail over to 350 destinations around the world, and our guests want to see the wonderful destinations, including places like Dubai. So we are committed to continuing to add more accessible shore excursions and to more ports. We also have private destinations. These are exclusive islands for our guests. And we did a multi-million-dollar renovation of a private island called Perfect Day at Coco Cay in the Bahamas. We're opening up our latest adults-only hideaway beach later this month with the arrival of Icon of the Seas. And the last thing I want to mention as a pillar is, for us, is our customer advisory boards. Actually, we have 3 advisory boards, one on disability, one on autism, because we're an autism-friendly cruise line, and then we have an accessible travel agent advisory board. They all help us to improve our product and services and make it more accessible and inclusive for our guests with disabilities. So my main goal here is to help people have a vacation from their disability. So that doesn't mean I can help them walk, hear, or see, but I want to make their vacations effortless and easy as possible so they can have the vacation of a lifetime. So that's what I do at Royal Caribbean, and I have 50 people helping me to do that, and thank you very much.
Thank you. I'm going to bring some questions for all of you, and since Ron, we're on you, let's start with a question for you. You mentioned your advisory boards. How did you go about doing that? Say I'm a hotel or a site here or an airport here. How would you go about finding people, and what's the purpose?
Well, I can start. I think that, a lot of travel companies have done this type of work. What they do is they reach out to the local community. There are usually disability advocacy organizations, councils. Many cities in the U.S. have, the Mayor's Advisory Council on Disability. So there are many disability advocacy organizations. I started doing this when I was at Northwest Airlines before I came to Royal Caribbean, and we were the first U.S. airline to have a permanent customer advisory board. And what I did was I selected members from different advocacy organizations like full-time wheelchair users, scooter users, somebody who was deaf, somebody who was hard of hearing. I went through the gamut of different types of disability, creating a cross-disability board so that you can provide information. Because back when I was doing this, I started when I was 5 years old, trust me, okay? But back then, I had a Rolodex. Remember Rolodex, right? And I was forever calling my my friends and colleagues at different advocacy stores, and I figured, let's put them in a room together, right? And let's talk about the challenges that we had in terms of how we are providing accessible services to our air travelers with disabilities at the time. And then when I came to Royal Caribbean, I replicated that progress and included 3 different advisory boards. But it's a great place to start locally and talk with your disability community leaders.
And I'll say I'm on Ron's advisory board, and it gives us really a good sense that we have a voice in what they're doing. And sometimes we get what we want when we ask Ron for things, and sometimes we don't get what we want, but we always give our opinion, right? No shortage of that at all. All right, so there's advisory boards. I think those are really good. Let me go to Iman, and let me just ask you, for the airport, as you see it, can you give us some of the challenges that you faced for people with disabilities accessing information at the airport?
Information about, in general, you mean?
Yeah. And,
okay.
And just even, regular flight information, things like that as well.
Be it people of determination, you mean? Okay. Well, first, truly speaking and facilitating people of determination is never easy, because every type of disability needs a special attention. Some people can read, can understand, but some people cannot communicate, and some people even cannot see. So throughout our challenges, we learn. Every day is a learning curve for Dubai airports. We've got very strong wayfinding, and yet we're also improving our wayfinding to fit the different disabilities. But it's always, the improvement is there, and there is a room to open a communication channel, and our channel is really open to hear from these people of determinations and people in general what they need. So unless we hear from people what they need, we will not be able to facilitate their needs. So I would say our challenge is to get feedback, to get the information about their experience at the airport. We will definitely do our best. We've got the top of the top, the best of our leadership working, and the people of determination. We have a full board. We have a steering committee. We have a department. We have CRM system that gathers the information. Yet we need to hear from that slide of categories so that we can facilitate. So our challenge is the information we need to get that level of maturity where we have full information about the different needs of people of the determinations.
I think that's great. I think airports are using apps now, and the apps give a lot of information, and a lot of times the phone itself makes it accessible, the information. So it's a good way to push information out to people.
For sure, and like when you come into the airport and you have your landing pages, there on a phone, on your iPad, on your devices, you're free to go and see the facility. You're free to even ask about the information. Yet, as I said, every case is unique, so we need to hear more from the people of determinations.
Thank you. Samit, let me ask you a question. Since you cover such a broad range, with transportation, and it's such an important part of everything that we do, and you have multimodal, right? You have train. So how do you integrate the different forms to make sure that people have the options to do all these? Do you talk one department with the train, talk to the bus, do they all work together with the taxi?
Actually, the integration between the modes of transportation is a very important thing to do with all people, especially with POD, or the people with the determination. Actually, RTA, starting from the first, has the main goal of making the high quality of the infrastructure. The road infrastructure is very important to make the seamless mobility easy, and also to make it integrated with all types of public transportation. For that, the goal was to be the pioneer in the road infrastructure, and yes, Dubai, compared with other global cities, the last 7 years was one of the first 2 or 3 cities according to the quality of road infrastructure. The second thing is about the locations of the other modes of transportation. The integration is between the metro stations, bus stations, and the parking surrounding, and also the soft mobility for the cycling or the other types of mobility. All these are integrated with each other with the KPIs to make sure the short timing in between. RTA is providing also a service of S-Hail application that gives this integration simplicity for everyone who wants to use it. It is easy to be used to put the journey, the start and the end, to show you the best choice or option for the journey. If someone wants to change the type of transportation, it is possible to do. It will show the timing, the cost, and the location and distance for it.
So it's built into kind of an app where you can put it in and it says you take the train to here, a bus to there, and walk to there. That's great. I think that's really important in giving people that, you know, the full length of their journey and being honest and saying, hey, you can't take the train the whole way. You have to get off and take a bus.
Because of the big data that we have from the transactions of the buses or for the metros or the trams or the taxis or even the private vehicles in the parking, all these informations are integrated in a common language, one system, one platform, so that the dashboard can give us the easy solution to reach the best point you want to reach.
So, all right, go back to Ron. I've got one more question for all of you, and then I'll let this audience ask. Ron, for you, because you come in a private business in tourism, how do you convince your boss that you need to create accessibility? What are the matrix that you use to say, hey, here's an idea, we want to do it?
I think, you know, there's many ways to have those types of conversation with senior leaders. Yeah. And you have to understand what their motivations are, right? Some people's motivation is about compliance, okay? Their laws and regulations require compliance. And, you know, one, of course, we want to be compliant. But, you know, my viewpoint on that is being compliant is just not enough, right? For full inclusion of people with disabilities, you need to go above and beyond compliance. You need to meet the needs of your guests, right? So that's the first thing. You talk about compliance and you talk about moving beyond compliance. The other thing they talk about is it's doing the right thing, right? It's a little bit of a moral and ethical thing, right? Now, sometimes that turns a little bit about, unfortunately, a pity exercise and say, I have to help these people, okay? If you get that, I find that it's worthwhile to take that, even though it's the heart's in the right place, but it's kind of the wrong motivation. But it's something. So there's two things so far: compliance and it's the right thing to do. The last thing is it makes good business sense. Okay, we've heard that earlier this morning that talked about. I'm sorry, we're waving a hand.
No, we're okay.
Okay, I'm sorry. We talked about
Compliance.
Oh, it makes good business sense. Okay,
Yeah.
sorry. So it makes good business sense. And we heard that earlier this morning, okay? So one of the things that's a really great example at Royal Caribbean Group, ever since we became autism friendly almost 10 years ago, the number of our guests have doubled every single year, okay? And not only do we count those guests, we count their families, and that is companion revenue that we get. So sometimes when you start looking at the data and you're only looking at guests with disabilities, you're looking at a small, like a 1% number, or maybe 2 or 3%. But when you add in all the companions and you add in the dollars that they come, that is a much better conversation to have with your senior leaders. So there are three ways to talk to your senior leaders about compliance, above compliance, talk about the right thing to do, and it makes business sense and it makes money for you. So those are three things that I would say.
And showing the success going on must make it easier for you to ask for more.
Right.
Yeah. Iman, tell us about the Dubai airports. Since we're here locally, let's talk about what your future plans look like and what you guys have in working on.
We're very lucky to have very strong autonomy in working with our stakeholders, main stakeholders, in different types of projects. So our future is planned very well to be easy, accessible airport in 2025. So we started this journey about 3 years back and continuing. We started the program first with autism awareness program, where we started educating our frontline staff, verifying the people of determination of that category, the autistic people, with Sun Lanyard and the Sunflower, where everybody, frontline now are wearing this, and they communicate and they can know and verify if the guest is also, aware of this signal. And we started also very big commitments to the community, because we really realize how vital our role is. So we've given some special privilege for autistic people to come to the airport, and we simulate the travel experience with them in coordination with Emirates and police, Dubai Police, GTRFA, and all of our valuable stakeholders today. So we simulate to the parents, we invite the parents to come and experience how the travel experience for their children can be, even if that traveler is an adult. They have the right to go and experience. So this is one of the projects that we really saw a good payback for it and a good result, where we have zero offloads of autistic people from airplanes, where we used to have lots of meltdowns at touch points and so. We also, in our future plans to start this year, is to start the dealing and understanding and spread the word and the awareness about hearing disabilities as well as sight disabilities. So that's our mission for 2024. We also trying different type of products to facilitate, and we started with the special buggies, and we run those trials openly with our stakeholders as well as the users. And we also are experiencing different types of facilitating the technology to give us solutions of, innovative solutions for people of determination. That's our future.
That's great. I got to say, I'll give a plug to aviation. Obviously, we have ACI here, and IATA is playing a huge role in what's going on at IATA now, and at ACI, you can really feel the changes coming through. It always helps, like with IATA, when they take initiative, it's very easy to get others to follow. And they're a great lead right now, as well as ACI, so you guys got plenty of support.
We are proudly certified by ACI as, friendly airport to the POD, so thank you very much for all the efforts that made it happen.
Yeah, that's a great program that ACI has.
Yes,
certainly.
absolutely.
Osama, I want to ask you about training. You've got so many people, trains, buses. Do you train everybody individually on disabilities? And
of course, yes. There is a strategic plan in preparing all the needs for POD. First of all, if you speak about infrastructure, all the projects is according to Dubai Code standard. If we'll speak about the public transportation, such as the metros and the buses, with around 129 cabins of metros, 11 cabins of trams, 1,520 of buses, more than 5,200 taxis are all should be as the standard of also the Dubai Code. Regarding the people who are using these public transportation, like drivers, the drivers has 2 stages of training. The fundamental training for deal with the PODs, and there's an advanced for those who are dealing directly with them, especially for the taxis, because you have a certain service for the PODs and taxis, with also the privilege that might be provided. I would like to also highlight these privileges, such as the 100% off for free by using the public transportation. Metros, trams, buses are all free. The taxis are also 50% off. The registration of the vehicles and registration for licensing, driving licensing also is free. 50% is for driving licensing. The permits of the parking is also for free, rather for the permanent disability or the temporary, or even for the tourism. Tourists who comes to Dubai, they can have the free card for 3 months. Also, regarding the training for the people who are dealing with the front, let's say, counter and the service centers, also they are well prepared and trained to deal with the POD. Furthermore, we have a strategic partnership with the Authority of Community Development with the live screen, especially for those who are have special needs in the sign languages. The sign language is a deep knowledge, as you know, yes. And it needs a professionality, especially for those who are coming from different countries, different also cultures. Yes. So the best thing to do, rather than training our people, is to deal with the professional people in the sign language and a live screen in all our services stations.
Great. That's awesome. I know we're running short on time. Do we have enough time to take questions from out there? Yeah, that's great. Do we have any questions from the crowd? I do. I see some hands out there. I think we got somebody who is running around with a mic, or...
Yes.
I think they're over to this side a little bit. I see a couple hands over there.
Appreciate if you just kindly first introduce yourself before asking your question.
Awesome. There we go. Yeah, we got one in the very back and one in the very front. So whoever's running that mic.
Yes, hi. My name is Iman El-Yafi. I have a question regarding providing cars for special needs. I have tried it for my son, and it is excellent. But my question is if it will be available and the parking, waiting, in the entrance of the malls, and different type of entertainment like parks and etc. Not just waiting for them or calling the service, for it to be available. To just consider this suggestion. Yes, this is my question.
Let me...
You want to answer for the taxi services or anything else?
For the special needs.
Taxis, right?
Yes, taxis.
Yes.
Taxis.
Good. Previously, this is a good announcing for all of us. Previously, there were 27 taxi vehicles, which is fulfilling the requirements for the physical disability. For that reason, most of the requests takes times reached from 30 to 40 minutes even to reach, and with a discount of 50% for the costs of the taxi service. But because most of the PODs are not physical, I can say that 45% are the physical, and the rest has different types of difficulties, which might don't need a special types of vehicles. They can use any taxi, but with the privilege of 50% as a POD. Recently, in last October, we have already changed the program to make the discount of 50% for all the vehicles of taxis, 5,200 vehicles, plus the 27 for the physical. So whenever someone wants to apply for the taxi, it's better to mention the type of the classification of the disability. If it is a physical, then one of the 27 vehicle will reach to it. If the rest or the other type of difficulties, then any type of taxi will come as soon in 3 or 5 minutes with the discount of the 50%. We are now evaluating this service, and I hope we'll get the best, inshallah ta'ala, day by day.
Good, thank you.
Thank you, Osama. And just something to add, as all these services are also available at the airport, at the arrivals. You can claim them right away.
Good, thank you. Next question.
Hello, my name's Evan Hall. I represent the tourism industry in Australia. My question's for Ron. Australia's very much a coastal destination, so we get a lot of cruise shipping, and I certainly understand the challenges about ensuring those destinations can offer an accessible experience. I was just wondering, as a very big player in cruise shipping when it comes to tourism in some of those destinations, have you considered incentivising or requiring the tour operators that you deal with to provide more accessible services as part of your partnership? For example, better commission rates if they're providing more accessible services.
I'm just going to help for Ron because he's hard of hearing and we'll help translate. The question is from Australia, there's a lot of ports, and the tour operators at the ports, do you do any incentive programs to make them more accessible? So in Australia, say you port in Brisbane or somewhere, and there's lots of shore excursions. Do you have an incentive program to make those excursions accessible? Is that right?
Yeah, it could be incentives such as better commission rates, or it could be a requirement that you'll only work with them if they're making steps towards providing more accessible product for your guests.
Holding them to the requirements, yeah.
Yeah, so that's a really good question. And actually, I had a meeting with President CEO of Royal Caribbean a couple months ago, and actually, he brought it up about destination development in the terms of, working specifically with tour operators. And so that's on our agenda for 2024 in terms of more concerted effort. Australia is our third largest market. Most of our guests including those with disabilities, come from North America, and followed by UK and Australia, and then the rest is global. We're a global cruise line, and we source guests from all over the world. So Australia is a really big and important market for us. We do have a lot of guests with disability sailing there. We made a huge commitment to the region by setting up several ships on both brands, Royal and Celebrity. So in terms of incentives, I think that we've seen other collaboration efforts between private businesses, tourism boards and local government, tourism authorities, and working together to provide incentives or kind of opportunities where tour operators are incentivized to provide accessible tours. It's mostly around the issue of getting accessible vehicles.
Yeah, accessible transportation comes up again, right? That's always part of the toughest. Even if there is an accessible shore excursion, you have to be able to get from the ship to the excursion. Right. I know in Mexico recently there's been a lot of new buses that now have lifts on them. I've seen a bunch of new ones in Mexican destinations.
Yeah, we've seen in different places that use a variety of different accessible vehicles, not just motor coaches with lifts, but we start to see a lot of vans with ramps. Those become also alternatives to finding lift-equipped motor coaches.
Right. Next question. We have one up here in the front and two in the front here as well. Let me know how we're doing time-wise, too.
We're tight.
We're close, okay.
Assalamu alaikum. Good afternoon to everybody. Thank you very much for this conference. and I am very glad to be here. I am from Blind People Determination, Low Vision Impaired. My name is Abla Al-Kabi. I would like to provide you a suggestion for the blind seat. I hope to be a screen reader in the screen for the seat in the plane, because we are the blind people. We can't use the screen. Usually we ask to our family to to prepare for us the film, anything that we want to see it or to listen to it from the screen for the plane set. Thank you.
I think maybe I could answer that one, since we're talking about airplanes and you're talking about the seat back entertainment and how they're touch screens, right? And it's very difficult for somebody who's blind, first of all, to navigate a touch screen, because they don't know where things are located, and there's no standardization on where things will be located on a touch screen.
Yes.
So that's one of the first obstacles to overcome. You have to have some way to verbally have a plug-in or something that somebody could be orientated to how to use the on-screen seat back. I can say this, that right now, there's not a technology that is being instituted that's doing that as of right this second, but I do know that in the US regulations, it's coming. So they're gonna have that kind of ability to do that, and they're starting to create the hardware and software for that kind of technology. They have it on the kiosk right now at the airport. You can plug in on a kiosk to get your ticket and get your boarding pass and your baggage stuff. So that is coming down. And now in some of the seat back entertainment, for somebody who's blind, you could just listen to the audio of the movie, but now they have something called audio description, so that you're not just listening to the movie and what they're saying, but you're getting a picture of what's there on the screen. And that's what audio description is. And I will say this, on my flight over on United, I counted, and I think there were 16 movies that had audio description on them. So that's a step in the right direction. Hopefully one day it will be all of them, and I think that one day we will get all of them. But audio description is the newest, and I hope that we're going to overcome the touch screen one day. I think we all know in aviation, I know IATA knows, and IATA's working super hard to make this happen. And as well as, in Italy, they have the one-click. You'll hear more about that. I won't get too far into it, but I know that that's going to be a kind of a standard product where people who are blind could go to that as well and get the same service through all the Italian aviation. I hope that answers. Am I out of time, or do we have more?
Do we still have questions?
Yeah, we have a couple out there.
Yeah. Okay, maybe one more. Or
all right, whoever has the mic.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. This is Susan Al-Khouri. I'm talking on behalf of the deaf community. First of all, we want to thank the Dubai TRA and airport for their huge accessibility features. One of the questions that raised by them, that they're saying, what about the safety in the airport and transportation area for the hearing disability, since they can't hear the alarm? It should be indicated in different part, like lighting, or if for example, they are in the bathroom or something and some alarm came up, they will not be aware about it. So what the TRA and International Airport done in this regard?
Actually, as an addition in the public transportation stations and facilities that is provided by RTA, and also as a part of our risk management plan, we have a program of the evacuation or the emergencies in every location. and we check all the elements that should be provided according to Dubai Code, which mentioned that it's not enough to have the emergency by sound, also by lighting, and also by all the types of awarenesses that should be there. So it is there, and according to the training programs, we try to make sure that there is a shadow coordinator in each unit in our department to take care of all the classifications of the special needs to make sure that they can vacuum to the place immediately. Thank you.
I'm just going to add something here. I know that we're talking a little bit about emergency planning, but I really wanted to take another tack on this conversation and really think about how do we plan for situations that don't rely on one single way to communicate something. If it's all auditory, people who are deaf and hard of hearing are not going to get the information they need to receive. So in terms of your planning, whether it's emergency or not, think about how you're communicating to your guests and make sure that information is conveyed in multiple ways, not just only auditory. You need to play visually on screens and things. That's why I'm hard of hearing, and that's why I love to be at an airport with airlines that have very extensive gate information displays. Most of the times you see that in the US, but that's really helpful. So I think that's something I wanted to add to the conversation.
I'll also say I've seen technology recently where an overhead announcement at an airport or a train station or cruise port can be, if you can't hear it, goes right into your cell phone where it grabs it. Okay. All right, see, we have a couple more. Yeah.
So, yes, please go ahead.
Hello, my name is Hassan Shaib. I am from France and I work at the providing alarm systems. I travel a lot around the world and I came to Emirates a few times. I have not very good experience with the hotels because when I go to the hotel, I don't see any safety procedures for the deaf, hard of hearing and deaf people. If there is fire alarm or something, I don't know, I'm in the room, and nobody tells me that there is something going on. So I am asking, is there any special services for the deaf in the hotels? It happened many times that the room service people, they just come into the room to clean up because they knocked on the door and I didn't hear them. And I am surprised when they are in the room. So that things are irritating. He also said about reservation, said when I make reservation, I cannot choose the room I want. There is always limited options for us as deaf people. Because there are alarm systems in specific rooms only. I pay like others, and I should have the option to choose whatever room I want as I desire. I wonder about, because 2027, there will be World Deaf Federation here in the UAE is hosting it. Deaf people from around the world will be coming. So what are the preparation, the hotels and the alarm system for them? It's very important concern for us, the deaf population. Yeah, I wish there will be good services, but I'm wondering about that. Thank you.
I'll start by saying that, in hotels, many hotels have a kit for someone who's deaf or hard of hearing. And it might have an item that goes on the door so when somebody's knocking, it flashes. Alarm clocks that vibrate underneath the pillow. They really need to have it here. Yeah, it's something that you should help bring to here because it's a very easy thing. And as Ron said, there's different ways to communicate with people who are deaf. And this kit kind of allows you to have some different ways to communicate for somebody who's deaf or hard of hearing. The other thing I'll add is that in hotels, someone who's deaf or hard of hearing doesn't need the accessible room. They need a room with a strobe alarm where they can see it, or the door knock But to put somebody who is deaf or who is blind in an accessible room where the clothes line is down lower and everything's lower in the room, that's not a zone of comfort for somebody who's blind or who is deaf. So having the accessible room doesn't always mean that it's going to be accessible for somebody who's deaf and that they want that room either. So the hotels are in the United States and in some foreign countries, they have a button you can press outside the door. And it's, it flashes and makes a loud noise. But I think that you could probably have a really good crowd here to explain the importance of having those kits. Ron, do you want to add anything?
Hello. I can't question. Hello, my name is Mohammed Al-Shahri from Sultanate Oman. Thank you for the conference. I have a question for airline. I would like to get the policies for airline is give good the seat, the handicap. Sometimes handicap is get the flat, not get the seat the easy for the handicap. Sometimes seat small, sometimes for the bases, the another seat, not the any bases is if for the people assistant. Thank you very much. Again, I hope for the policies for the airline. Thank you.
Thank you. I'll touch on that one for you too. So a lot of airplanes now have seats with movable armrests. Even in the airports, I'm seeing seats that have movable armrests, so they're easier for you to transfer in and out of. I don't believe that we're going to see a huge jump in the way seating goes. I know that, hopefully you get a seat that has a movable armrest and that you can transfer easy in and out of. Otherwise, I don't believe the seats on aircraft are going to change much. They're already pretty tight and everything, so I don't think we'll get a special area for ours that's bigger with the space, right? Right, the space is very tight and sometimes it's difficult to transfer and move in there, and that's why you should have the option with every carrier of what seat you want, whether it be in the bulkhead, the front row, or somewhere in the middle, something like that, you should have the option. Yes, IATA's having a workshop, and Linda Restagno's here. Yeah. And we're talking about seating. We'll have a discussion at the panel tomorrow about that. If you come, we're going to be talking specifically about that. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
See you tomorrow. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Airclip, and our distinguished panelists. Thank you.
All.
Thank you.
Thank you.